Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here coming at you with another video. I try to do it on the daily, man. Most times I do. Maybe I might take a day off, but I try to hit it up on the daily. It's about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. I just tell it like it is, all right, when it comes to just things. Boobies, cars, sports, shit, bullshit I see going on. And you can find me on Rumble as well. I do double posting, so I'm on Rumble or YouTube. So I could spread my wings. You know what I'm saying? And you could really just you know do both if you or whichever is easier for you. All right. Anyhow, let's just get to it here. Let's talk about it. All right. Like I said, it's about anything and everything. I've been kind of focused on just Trump. Really, just I mean, he's been laying the hammer. Is all I got to say. Like, he's been laying the hammer, just busting right out the gate. All right. So he just busted right out the gate and just went to work right away. Literally within minutes of being sworn in, already went to work. I mean, the how, when was the last time you seen a president of any country do that? Where right, I mean, literally right. You as soon as you get sworn in, you end up just working right away, right? Executive orders. I mean, just laying the groundwork for what's to come, right? Of course, the mass deportations and all this stuff, right? So it's crazy, and I don't even know how Trump has the energy just to continue to go on and on and on nonstop, right? I mean, look at him compared to Biden. Biden's a walking carcass, you know what I'm saying? But anyhow, that's not what I'm going to talk about today, all right? Let's talk about stuff that's been talked about the last couple of days that I just kind of haven't talked about, but I've been wanting to because I've been so focused on the LA wildfires and really mass deportations are like my big two, and then to a minor note, DEI. And so, looking at all that, I've been wanting to talk about stuff that's been going on in my area, all right, the Bay Area, the California at large, with the store closing, especially in what used to be my favorite city, San Francisco. I used to love San Francisco. And background to that, I grew up loving San Francisco. Right? I never lived there. I lived probably about 40 minutes, 45 minutes with no traffic. I could easily get to San Francisco about 40 minutes with no traffic, right? With traffic, obviously, it'll be like an hour or whatever. Crossing the Bay Bridge and going into the city. And I used to love it growing up as a kid. Anytime we take trips to San Francisco, love it, right? Grew up loving the 49ers, San Francisco Giants, and I still do. I still love they're always going to be my favorite teams, right? San Francisco Giants, San Francisco 49ers. They're always going to be my favorite teams. Um, but I just lost everything I love about San Francisco, you know? Oh, and I also went to SF State, too. That was my alma mater. I went to college at SF State, graduated with a 4-year degree in a bullshit, bullshit degree, by the way. That's what a BS degree is. Bullshit degree in business management, right? Which is some bullshit. If you want to get any business degree at all whatsoever, the only one that seems to be the best would just be accounting. That's it. But other than that, forget about any other business degree because it just really leads to nothing. All right. The only thing that is really going to be worthwhile is accounting. All right. That's it. Forget all the other ones. But college is just a scam anyways. That's a whole different story. I think I talked about it in one of my earliest videos. I talked about how college is a scam. And I'll just touch it with this. College is a scam, and it's an indoctrination camp or place to really get you brainwashed into progressive and liberal ideologies of bullshit, right? Because look at it. Look at what they focus on. They focus on people that, yeah, you might have a part-time job, so it doesn't really you're not really paying the bills truly, right? When it comes to like paying for a home, paying for electricity, paying for that sort of stuff, right? You are in a sense, but when you're talking about like when it comes to having that sort of that job, not some part-time barista job. I'm talking about like a career job, right? Where you're working in a career field type of job. You're trying to grow within this career, right? You start having a family, all these responsibilities, right? Of paying all these different bills now, um, the mortgage, that stuff, right? Car payments. I mean, which you could still do in terms of when you're in college, but not really. Most people don't. And once you start doing that, paying back college loans too, right? And credit cards. So you're paying all that, right? And then once you realize that you're going through all that, that you realize that all this brainwashing, liberal, progressive ideologies is really not any sort of. It's not productive, right? All it does is it gets to you into thinking that, oh shit, man, we can make change, and we could do this and this and this. But all it is just a way to get you brainwashed into nothingness. Because when you really think about it, once you start having that career and all these different responsibilities, you find out that this progressive, liberal, Democrat ideology and beliefs really is just more of a money drain in the end, because they make it look like they're working for you, but they're really just working for themselves, right? Self-serving, and all they care about is spend, spend, spend. And you know what? You need some help here. We'll give you a stimulus. Hey, we'll pay off your school loan, right? Like you're really going to be indebted to them. And then once you do that, and you feel like, oh man, they are working for us. So look what they're doing. They're paying off our school loans or forgiving our school loans, and they're giving us stimulus and handouts and all this stuff. That's so good. That's so great. But at the expense of everybody else, right? And to really make it look like they're really working for you, but they're making everybody pay for it. In the end, that's what's happening, right? They make you pay for everything, and once you get roped into that, you're like, holy shit. Once you get on the other end of that, now you're paying. Now in your career, you're paying all your responsibilities. Then you look at how now they're doing the same thing to those very same people that you once were. You're like, oh shit, this is just some fucking spin game. And I know that I've been going way off the tangent here, but yeah, San Francisco, I used to love the city. It's always been expensive in general because it's the city, I guess. And but at the same time, it used to be a much better place, right? And then you just started to see it erode over time. Like I used to always go there all the time. Even after college, I used to always go there a lot. And over time, things started happening, right? Just slowly unravel, right? Some places would close. Nothing big, right? Over time, you start to see more homeless build up in the streets. Typical, right? Typical San Francisco. And then over time, you just started seeing more closings, more homeless. Then they started doing things like putting up these liberal safety barriers, right? What kind of shit is that? And then try to make it so it's more like uncar friendly, right? So if you drive down Market Street, for example, they close all that off, the major thoroughfare of Market Street, which is like the main way through downtown, and close it off to only buses and taxis and that sort of stuff. No cars can drive on it. I'll never forget, right? It was, after pandemic. I didn't know they changed it during pandemic. And so I drove down it after pandemic, didn't think of anything, and then I looked and I was like, why come there's no cars? So I was driving on Market Street. Now I'm like, how come there's no cars anywhere? Like, where's all the cars at? I see the buses and taxis, and I'm getting honked at now because I was driving down on it and didn't realize that they made those sort of changes. And I'm like, holy shit. So they make it uncar friendly. Do you wonder why businesses are closing off of Market Street? Because you can't drive and you have to rely on other transportation or just walking just to get to these places on Market Street, right? Which is funny. And so stores close because how are you going to get there, right? If it's like you got to park blocks away just to get there to a certain establishment, where there's restaurants and stores and all that stuff. Then you got to deal with crime, right? So on top of inconvenience, right? Crime is, gone up because of things like Prop 47. And, when you look at back then, I wanted to be SFPD also. Man, I was in the hiring process too at the time for SFPD, and then they went through a budget freeze. So that kind of put me out of trying to go for SFPD. So that was another thing that I loved San Francisco, that I wanted to be a part of the city, right? That I wanted to work for SFPD, right? And this is way before defunding police and all that stuff. When San Francisco was in a better place, like I said, it was typical just stuff, just typical expensive, typical homeless, typical stores that are randomly closing. And so they went through a budget freeze, didn't hire any SFPD officers. So it's like, all right, whatever. Prop 47 passes, right, which is lowering crimes from felonies to misdemeanors, and that whole $950 stuff, to where it's like they could go and commit crime of like theft and stuff up to $950. You're just like a slap on the wrist. They might detain you and be like, here, show up in court, whatever, and that's it, right? And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know. For example, let's just say you did it again. Now it's over $1,000, right? Because you did it twice, up to $950. Let's just say it's over $1,000 now. That as long as it's still under $950, you can just do it again. And I didn't know that. I thought that once it stacks, now you committed a major crime, right? No. You could do it 1,000 times, right? And if it's under $950, you're good, right? So what do you think happened in San Francisco and all these other blue, liberal, progressive cities, right? Chicago, New York, LA, Oakland, all that stuff, San Jose, all these blue, liberal cities, Seattle, Portland, all that stuff, right? What do you think happens? Crime goes up, right? Because they have similar laws in those other cities, but let's just say San Francisco and LA, I'll just keep it at that, California, what do you think happened? And crime exploded, right? And so it got to the point where it got to where it was continuous over the next 10 years of just that. And then couple that with not being able to do anything about it because you're hamstrung by a stupid proposition and laws and policies that you can't just arrest them and throw them in jail now, because that's just not the way it's written. Things happen, right? Of course, the George Floyd stuff and defunding police. So then what happens then? It goes up even more, right? What happens when you defund police? You have less police officers. You have much more policy in place to where you can't do shit. And then what? Well, crime explodes, and you have less officers, and with all that, stuff can't get tended to, right? Such as reporting of crime. And so priorities are established where If it's not too major, we'll see you when we see you type of stuff, right? And so crime continues to go up, and then it gets unreported because what's the point of reporting it if they don't show up to take the report, to make arrest, or anything like that? So it goes underreported. So then guess what liberal media says? Crime is down. Crime is down. Look at it. Look at the reports. The reports are showing that crime is down. But everybody and their mama knows that you can see that crime has gone up, right? So a deteriorating San Francisco because cost is high, places go out of business, you start making it inconvenient for people to go from place to place. Homeless starts building up more and more in the streets, sidewalks. They talked about how they poop everywhere. And then you wonder why you can't and don't want to walk around everywhere, right? Because you got poop everywhere that they don't clean up. Homeless, right? It's dangerous because some homeless are crazy. And they could be violent, possibly, at times. And a lot of them are just drug induced because they're just on drugs. And places like San Francisco will feed into it, right? They'll feed into that drug habit, drug addiction, right? To the point that Narcan, which is kind of like a drug to kind of, let's just say you got high and it knocked you out and you're on the ground, right? You take a couple inhales of Narcan. It's supposed to snap you out of it, wake you up, right? That's what Narcan does. You know what they do with Narcan? They just give it out. Say, hey, here you guys go. If you guys get high to the point where you can't wake up, you guys have Narcan, wake each other up, right? Is that crazy? Think about that. Think about that in San Francisco. And these liberal cities, all doing that. Just handing it out saying, make sure you have Narcan on you because if you guys get high, make sure your buddy taps you and grabs it, makes you inhale it to wake you up. It's crazy. And believe it or not, it's in the prison system too. Can you believe that? In the prison system, CDCR, California Department of Corrections. Yeah, stuff gets snuck in all the time, right? Drugs and stuff for whatever reason, whatever, right? I don't know, but it gets snuck in, right? And somehow they get drugs. Somehow, some way. And guess what? They have Narcan there, all right? And the way Narcan is readily available, they have it on a stand. Each of the incarcerated individuals have it in their places. So if anything happens, they could use it on each other to wake each other up. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy how they just allow it and give you Narcan to kind of say, here, wake yourself up. But that's besides the point. All right. So you have drugs to feed the addiction of homeless, right? So unhoused is not why they're homeless. They're just drug addicted. They don't care about being unhoused, right? Why would they care about being housed and care about that responsibility? It's a responsibility, right? They don't want that. They'd rather just be hanging out and just get high. And so dummies, these liberal Democrats, can't, think, right, in their mind that they can't think of why, they can't just get them off the streets and give them treatment, right? They just can't think that. They just can't fathom that. All they can think is they're unhoused. They're unhoused. That's the reason why they're homeless. You dummies, all right? You fucking clowns. They are addiction people, right? They need help. The only way you can help them is give them treatment. But I think in their minds, they're thinking that if you stick them into like these, drug addiction places or insane asylums and things like that, they think of those hospitals with the white walls and the nurses and stuff, and doctors wearing white outfits, and that they get strapped up with the what do you call those stray jackets, and they get thrown in the hospital rooms and locked in, and they're tied up to a bed all day. I think they truly think that from the movies and stuff, and that's not how medical treatment is when it comes to drug addiction, right? And so it's just funny to me how the Democrats are just a bunch of dummies, you know. And so you have a bunch of dummies running San Francisco, right, to the ground. And, you know, you have mayors that come and gone throughout the years. The most recent mayor that was ousted is London Breed. She was garbage. She ran on a, you know, she's black, she's a female, right, DEI specialty. She ran on that because DEI came to the forefront these last few years. Besides defunding police, DEI came to the forefront, so they, ran on identity politics, right? Meanwhile, a lot of talking but no action. Crimes are high, drugs, you name it, right? And guess what happens? But besides that, pandemic drives people away as well, right? Remote working. So businesses that are trying to run business in San Francisco start to run out of business more and more, right? Because cost is high and crime is high, right? Lots of theft happening, smash and grabs, walk in and out. Can't stop them, right? Because it's a liability to try to stop and prevent theft from happening in the stores, right? You get sued, right? You get sued for trying to stop a perpetrator from, let's just say, stealing, right? And you hurt the person. You get sued for hurting the perpetrator when you're trying to help the store out, right? Isn't that crazy? So that's why you see a lot of them just stand around and just let them do it and walk out, right? Because you can't stop them because of liability reasons, right? What kind of bullshit is that? Like, you have security guards posted, and again, what's the point of having security guards if you can't stop them, you can't do nothing, right? There are a couple instances, such as the Walgreens and stuff here that you see in the picture, where Walgreens actually was an armed security, stopped someone, shot him, and went through hell in legal battle to try to defend himself for use of a firearm in preventing a theft that became violent, right? And, you know, it's like, what's the city running on? I mean, are they running on protecting people, or what are they doing, right? They're not doing anything. And then you wonder why you see things like Walgreens closing 12 stores, right? Because they're losing money. Right? They lost so much money that they got to close stores. They closed the Safeways, right? And they say, oh, it's a food desert now. It's a food desert. Well, fuck. If you are not doing anything to prevent theft, corporations can't continue to run a business because they're going to go out of business. They're cutting their losses, and that's why they're closing up shops, such as the one in San Francisco. So let's see if they show us the Safeway one here. All right. Walgreens closing 5 stores. That was 5 years ago here, or 3 years ago. Look at this. North Face closing its only store in San Francisco. That was 10 months ago. That's at North Face. Let's see, Grant and Post Street. That's kind of like right there, kind of near Union Square. It's kind of near Chinatown, actually. Grant Avenue and Post Street. That's like near Chinatown. And it's funny. Now here's a good dude right here. Metal Leo talks about, he goes around talking about everything that's closed in general. That's his theme. All right, here we go. San Francisco Fillmore District Safeway closing. All right, they're closing in February. All right, and so this was big news about them closing. All right, and
what exciting benefits do you get as a Perks Gold Plus rewards member?
The thing about Safeway, thing about Safeway in this particular area, it is like the only grocery store in this particular area of San Francisco in the Fillmore district. It's right across the street from Japantown, right? And Japantown has its own like store, Japanese stores and stuff. Across the street, you have apartments and other businesses and a Safeway, right? That Safeway's been there forever. I used to always park at Safeway, and then across the street they have a walking pedestrian bridge. So I would park at Safeway, go and walk across their pedestrian bridge to go into Japantown because, well, shit, you park in their parking garage, you got to pay money. So I would just park across the street at Safeway and walk it across the street. Boom, right? As long as you don't see any security seeing you park, you're good. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, this Safeway closed because, I mean, they were talking about how the security officers were saying that literally $7,000 a day was walking out the door in theft. All right, isn't that crazy? And so think about that. 7,000 a day, and then let's just say it happens 300, we'll say 300 days a year, right? So 300 days a year with 7,000 a day, $2 million lost in a year at the Safeway. So can you imagine why they want to close now? And they tried to close last year, and the stupid ass San Francisco supervisor says, "Oh, no, you can't do that." And he did it like some sort of like emergency sort of legislation within the city where you got to have like a six month notice, to where you gotta, if you gotta notify with a 6 month notice if you're, or in order, if you're trying to close business, right? It's like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, really? Like, he tried to pull off some last minute shit, which he did, and so it forced Safeway to stay open for another 6 months. And they said, all right, well, here's our notice now then, since you try to do some bullshit. We'll stay open for the next 6 months, and then we're out. And that time has come.
Cisco's Fillmore district marched down to City Hall today. They're demanding that the Board of Supervisors address the closure of the neighborhood's Safeway store. Their goal isn't to keep the Safeway from leaving, rather to add a new grocery store, and they want to be included in the discussions.
Get the fuck out of here.
We're not playing. We're demanding. We're not requesting. We're demanding. We're not urging you. We're demanding you.
Get the fuck out.
And we want all the new supervisors to understand this can be a beautiful relationship or a sour relationship.
Hey, you can't have it all everything that you want, right? You want to defund police. You want to hamstring police. Let's just say if you have police, you want to hamstring them because you can't do this, you can't do that because it's a liability. You can't do this, all right? And you're forcing them to do things that they can't do. And at the same time, you're making them do things that now, their hands are tied. All right, in that sense. I know I just repeated it and said the same line twice. But the point of it is that you can't have it everything your way, right? So, when it comes to restraint, there's a lot of restraint in law enforcement in San Francisco. That there's a lot of things they can't do. And then you have stupid ass Prop 47 liberal policies that now is starting to rescind because Prop 36 was passed to bring back, kind of revert back to the way it was, right? Common sense, right? And it's going to take time for that to kick in, but you still got stupid ass San Francisco commissions, just like in Oakland, where it really gives law enforcement limitations on things that they can do without being a liability. And it really just it really makes it difficult to prevent things from happening, like the thefts and all that, to stop it. And then you wonder why they close, because if you're losing $2 million a year, I don't see why any store wouldn't close, right? But then they want to say, we want you to stay open. We want you to stay open as a food desert. Well, fuck. How about telling your people to stop stealing shit?
The shelves of that store, they're bare now, and newly elected Fillmore Supervisor Bilal Mahmood said that produce and meat are gone as well. But prescription services are going to continue until the store closes on February 7th. Kenny Choi talked to some of the customers who say the frenzy to find deals shows the needs of this community and more.
George Gibbs has shopped for groceries at the Safeway on Webster Street in the Fillmore district for years.
It's convenient because this is an older store that's close.
Most shelves have been cleared out by eager shoppers looking for deals, including the Vietnam veteran who suffered a near life-threatening injury. When the store closes on February 7th, there will be other options for
Too bad, so sad.
But the farther distance to the next closest store and price point are concerns for many.
You can go to some place like Molly Stone and it's really expensive.
Other shoppers like Sabine Dabadi, who lives in Oakland, picked up some discounted items.
You drove here, gotcha.
But primarily came to see and hear about how the pending closure will impact everyday residents nearby.
A store of this size and footprint being vacant as well as the parking lot doesn't bode well for the surrounding community and a kind of like active livelihood. It becomes like this desolate ground that feels strange.
Dabadi has worked for
Don't give a
nonprofits
fuck.
focused on affordable housing solutions and increasing healthy food access.
If you guys
points.
stop stealing,
His
you
concern for
stop
everyday
doing this
residents
shit,
who will
maybe
be
the store would
challenged
stay
to make
open.
ends meet by added costs, including transportation.
Essentially the folks who need this place and like can't rely or move farther or can't go farther or can't use more money towards cabs and cars or Ubers or Lyfts or what have you.
Hey,
Safeway has
that's the sacrifice, right? Because you guys want to steal from your own communities. You get what you ask for, right? You want to defund police, you want to do all this shit, and then you cry when the store can't handle that. Oh, it's a multi-million-dollar. Well, no, if they're losing a couple $1,000,000, fuck not, man. They're gonna close up. Don't give a fuck who it is. It pisses me off when I see shit like this, and they expect you to stay open just because it's convenient for the thieves to just continue to pillage the store, right? Just to stay open for you. Get the fuck out of here.
Announced it will close this location, citing theft and safety concerns for
Exactly.
customers and employees.
I've seen people around the door with stuff and running across the parking lot.
Yeah.
I've seen folks walk out in handcuffs for stealing something.
Yeah.
Gibbs is disappointed, but acknowledges why it's closing.
A lot of stuff goes on here. Yeah, that doesn't go on in other Safeways, other stores.
The closure is a loss for Gibbs, but even more so for many of his neighbors who won't have as many options.
And when you look at the Fillmore district in San Francisco, it's kind of almost like project-like, that area, which is kind of odd because across the street it's kind of a nicer area with Japantown, and then the houses that are near Japantown look better, and then you cross the street to the Fillmore side there with Safeway, and they have a little bit of surrounding businesses, but you have apartments and things like that, and it looks almost like the projects. It's kind of weird, but hey, it's too bad, so sad. You can't cry over spilled milk. I mean, you can't have steak and eat it too. Shit like that. All these lines. It is what it is, right? Like I said, you want to defund police, you want to do all this shit, and then when shit happens, you want to cry. Hey, all I gotta say is, it's the lax laws and policies and defunding of things you shouldn't be defunding is the fault, not the store. All right, and how many more stores need to close in San Francisco in general before you guys finally wake up, right? So that's Safeway for you. I don't blame them for closing, all right? Because if you're losing $2 million, who wouldn't close? Really? You know what I mean? So, and then you see the most recent news about Walgreens closing, right? Let's see here. Protests erupt over closure due to systematic racism, right? They're trying to blame racism. But if your people, and I'm not trying to blame solely on, particular races, but I'm just saying, if there's constant theft going on and you can't do nothing about it, you can't just let it go on and on and on, right? I mean, it's just common sense. So maybe it's not racism. You know what I'm saying? Let's just see what this dumbass has to say.
The days are counting down for this Safeway in the Fillmore. The grocery store, according to the community here, serves as a staple, and its departure is devastating to them.
Well, it's not just a grocery store, it's a full-fledged grocery store. Yeah,
it's a place where you can just walk in and walk out, right? Walk in and walk out. That's what it was. It's a place to walk in and walk out.
Deli, you have a meat market, you have a bakery.
5-finger discount.
Can you guess what is being blamed for the closure of this grocery store?
Reverend Amos Brown is calling out Safeway, saying the company's decision to close its location in San Francisco's Fillmore district is just another example
you guys gotta
of
learn.
systemic racism.
This is a slap at black people.
The NAACP is saying
the slap to everybody, because now you lose a store that everybody can't go to, and it's not just to black people, it's just in general. People can't go to a store that was just right there. Now we're inconvenienced once again to go somewhere else because we can't go to that one location. It's not really towards black people.
Closure of the Safeway in February, Black History Month.
If anything, it is mad because it's just a place where you can't walk in and walk out anymore. 5-finger discount for anybody.
Month is offensive.
It seems like they're just moving all the blacks out.
By the way, we've now graduated from no justice, no peace to no food, no peace. I'm not sure if that's a threat or what, but it sounds scary. And what's next? I can't eat?
On Tuesday, a community rally was held demanding a call to action from local leaders to address the pending closure.
Well, I want everyone to know that we're looking at replacing Safeway with another grocery store.
Like, all right, who would really want to do that? Like, think about that. If prior history shows that happening and nothing's going to be done about it, like, what business will want to put up with that? You know what I'm saying? Like until laws change and policies and all those aspects change in San Francisco, right? Who will want to open a store in that very location to deal with all this bullshit, right? Think about that.
We're not necessarily focused on keeping Safeway here.
So what is the problem then?
What this is about, the unfinished agenda, all the obligations that the city owes this community. It's time for us to have a hearing and get real facts.
Okay, well, while you continue to...
If you don't like it, move out. Get out of the city then, if you don't like it. All right? I'm tired of all this shit. You know, and it was funny how... Well, no, I shouldn't talk about that.
Food justice. Let's start with the facts of why the store is actually leaving in your beautiful San Francisco neighborhood.
The chain said the decision came about following ongoing concerns about associate and customer safety and persistent issues with theft.
He and other regulars tell me theft is rampant.
Yeah.
Every day. You see them.
Yeah, you see it. You just...
Yeah, so if that's a problem, how can any business can stay open? If other people are actually seeing it too.
You know, mind your own business.
Safeway has tried many security measures in recent years. Metal gates to prevent people from leaving through closed registers, and long poles attached to carts so people can't run out with a cart full of products.
You have a good day.
You as well. Have a nice day.
It's almost like the BART fare gate. Scan a receipt, the two glass doors slide open. We noticed people with a lot of products in their hands were struggling to scan the receipt. A clerk had to help. People who don't have a receipt will need a worker to open the gates to exit.
It's a new system that they're trying out. Time will tell if they're going to be successful or not.
Well, it looks like the answer is not.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. That's another thing. All right, all theft that's happening is creating stores to lock things up, which is another inconvenience because it's pain in the ass where you got to go, you got to look for an employee to open it up to get what you need, and it's such a pain in the ass that it drives people away too, because even though it looks like it's a deterrent, it's an inconvenience, and like, why would anybody want to deal with that? Right? And that's why these stores are closing, because you lose business this way as well. That's what sucks.
The answer is not.
There's been crime out there in the Castro, at that store, of shoplifting. There's been...
Maybe the one in Castro will close too. You never know. Right? The Castro district is where all the gay, it's the gay district in San Francisco, right? If you go into Castro, like, that's the gay community. So there is a Safeway out there. I've never actually stopped by there. I've driven by it, but never actually stopped in there, so I couldn't tell you how that store is like. But if there's crimes that are a problem, which I can't really foresee in a gay community, I mean, I don't know, then that store will close too.
In crime in the marina where there's been theft, but they didn't close those stores.
The Marina District is a higher income area of San Francisco. That's been there for ages too. That's an old one. I've been to that one maybe years ago. I stopped into that one. It's a nice one. It's over by the fields there, Chrissy Fields, and kind of near the Golden Gate, kinda. But the Marina District is a nicer area, higher income area for sure. Those houses are expensive. So I don't know if there's any crime there or not. Maybe you might have some occasional thefts, but I really don't know for sure.
Closure of this store means that shoppers will have to travel more than a mile to another Safeway or Lucky supermarket.
The Board of Supervisors has the moral obligation to not approve any transfers of that property, particularly if it excludes African Americans.
Fuck out, man. It's always me. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors already did a favor, all right, which didn't do any favors to Safeway when they forced Safeway's hand to stay open for another 6 months because of the stupid notice policy. And that's the end of it. Supervisors can't do shit, and they're fucked up for even doing that in the first place, and they're garbage. All right, they're just a garbage committee. They're more or less like a committee that's really overbearing on everything in San Francisco, even in law enforcement, that it really justifies how garbage they really are, and the destruction of why stores are leaving San Francisco because of all these problems I just talked about.
See this as a first measure of a form of reparations.
Get the fuck out. See, look at that. Me. Reparations. You know what's funny about reparations, right? They went through all these meetings about reparations and stuff in San Francisco, and they're trying to act like they were going to consider it, right? Which they come to find out it was like 3-4 times more than the actual budget of San Francisco itself. And then they just said, oh, well, due to budget issues that we're having right now, we're going to have to sidestep that talk for the moment. It's like, get the fuck out. They're not even considering it. All they're doing is gaslighting to make it look like they're doing something for support when it comes to election sort of talk. And then, it's a talking point. And then once that comes and pass, it's not even a matter anymore to consider, right? Because they did all these discussions about reparations, whether it was at San Francisco level or even at state level, and Gavin Newsom blamed it on, well, we don't have the budget now, we'll have to consider it in the future, but we'll give you an apology. It's like, get the fuck out, man. Gavin Newsom's an idiot. London Breed was an idiot for even considering it. And then you wonder why these liberal cities are falling apart, because of false promises and bullshit, right? Let's see here. So Walgreens is going to lose 12 stores. All right, let's see here. 2 weeks ago, they said they were going to close 2 stores, or 12 stores. Pretty funny stuff. Let's see here.
The all-new GoDaddy Aero helps you get your business online in minutes with the power of AI. With the perfect name. with graffiti covering the windows and the front entrance still boarded up. This Walgreens in the Potrero Hill neighborhood is one of 12 locations.
Potrero Hill, yeah, it's kind of ghetto, kinda, not really, but it's typical San Francisco area. I mean, I could walk down Potrero and not have any issues or nothing. It's just typical San Francisco. It's kind of run down. It's old, but if Potrero Hill is looking like that in their storefront with just boards, man, it's pretty insane.
Closing for good across San Francisco.
No, we need this. This is the closest pharmacy.
Remember, it was only...
Really? Because maybe they got tired of people walking in and walking out, right? Of, hands full.
2 months ago when a car rammed into the front entrance of this location. Construction crews at the time said it was an unsuccessful attempt at breaking into the ATM and part of a concerning trend.
Wow,
in the Bay
they tried to drive in.
It's disheartening, to say the least.
ATM?
In a statement, Walgreens called the closures necessary and said increased regulatory and reimbursement pressures are weighing on our ability to cover the costs associated with rent, staffing, and supply needs. Although the company made no mention of crime or shoplifting as the reason, neighbors say they see it all the time.
I mean, I get it. I've seen horrible
See, if
things
this shit's happening all the time, why would business want to stay in business in San Francisco?
Coming in with bags and just going into their bag. I've seen kids, I've seen homeless people doing it, I've seen people that seem like they don't need to be doing it.
The Potrero Hill location is the same one, tied to a major Walgreens crime spree over the span of several months last year, which resulted in the arrests of 8 suspects, some as young as 12 years old. San Francisco police said the group is accused of committing 23 thefts over 4 months, stealing more than $84,000 in Walgreens merchandise.
We need this. We need this.
I'm
we need
sorry.
This, just in case we don't feel good and we want to sit our kids down to get toilet paper, soap, all that good stuff. It's sad.
The closures include the same location on Market Street, where Banko Brown was shot and killed by a Walgreens security guard in April of 2023, during what police called a shoplifting incident.
I mean, toothpaste.
Yeah, that was the crime I was referring to, where it got violent. Security guard pulled out the gun and fired and killed a dude, and so that he went through it, through a rough patch with the courts and all that. I think he got free on that, the security guy.
Locked up, I get it if like really high price items are locked up, but now it's like pretty much everything, and the people that work here are really jaded, rightfully so.
And Walgreens confirmed with us that all 12 of these locations will close between February 24th and the 27th.
Can't wait. I can't wait for that to happen.
If you're looking to sell
when you think about business in San Francisco, like, they got to be close to 50% vacancy rate, when you think about it, right? Another thing that we're talking about is another one that's closing, more closures, right? What is that? Bloomingdale's right here. Let's talk about this. Bloomingdale's.
It's very depressing. Actually, a lot of downtown is very depressing.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't come as often as I used to.
Yeah.
Another blow in a series of blows.
A big hit for the city of San Francisco's shopping district as it's about to lose another big name. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Meeback. Turn off the lights and close the doors. It is the end of an era in downtown San Francisco. Bloomingdale's announcing it will be closing by the end of spring. Yet another post-pandemic hit to the city's primetime shopping area. KTV's Tom Bakar live tonight in the city with more on the story. Tom?
What do you expect? Talked about it. Crime, homeless, high cost of everything. How can a business stay in business? That mall, though, at the San Francisco Center is so bad, man. It used to be such a great mall, too. I remember going there off and on over the years. And that mall, it's a big-ass mall. It's huge, right? All these different retailers. How many stories it can go up. If you're off to the side of the mall, it could go like 3 stories, right? And if you go to the center of the mall, I forgot how many stories it goes. Maybe 7, 8 stories high. if you're in the center of the mall, and you got the movie theater connected to it. It's a nicely laid out mall. It's a really nice mall, but as years went on, especially pandemic, it closed a lot of stores. And when you walk in, it was really a shell of what it used to be. Because I remember going there, I think the last time I went there was a couple years ago, and it was a shell of what it used to be. You'll just see a handful of stores open in that mall. And of course, the anchor stores were still there, like Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom at the time. Nordstrom closed, I think, last year. So Bloomingdale's was like the last major anchor store at this mall. And I think that's really going to be the closing of this mall overall.
A bad turn for the city because once again we have a marquee retailer here for 20 years that says by spring, we're gone. Francisco Center is its last remaining major store. It'll be gone in April, even though its lease has another 2 decades to run.
It's very depressing. Actually, a lot of downtown is very depressing.
What's the name of the mall owners? Damn, I forgot the name of the mall owners. I can't think of the name of it right now.
And that's why I don't come as often as I used to.
Before COVID, this place used to just be super vibrant and active, so it's disappointing to see so much leave the city.
Bloomingdale's, a division of Macy's, which is also leaving downtown San Francisco, said, "We are hopeful to be back to serve the San Francisco community in the future and look forward to introducing new ways to provide enhanced service to our loyal local shoppers."
I've been here since I was like a little kid, like 2-3 years old. I remember coming
across the street. There's a parking garage from Bloomingdale's, so you could just park at the parking garage there, and then go through Bloomingdale's. There's a movie theater right there, and then you go into the mall that way. And I used to always park at that. If I was to go to this particular mall, I would park at this parking garage and go there, as this is the only place to really park if you wanted to go to this mall.
Coming to San Francisco used to be the thing to do, especially like during like Black Friday or the holidays. Everyone come here for shopping and all that.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie reacted this way. "Although this closure is disappointing, I'm energized every day by businesses of all sizes opening and growing in our city."
Another blow in a series of blows.
University of San Francisco professor Billy Riggs teaches management and urban planning, two essential elements of retailing.
A lot of these big boxes have not changed their business model in the last 50 years. Shifting consumer habits to some of the post-pandemic economic shifts, and I think we're still kind of feeling some of the shift towards more e-commerce. Retail.
Yeah, but I understand that, but at the same time, when you're in a situation where you're dealing with the environment of the city, right? It's just it's not a thriving place to be in, right? And definitely costs way too much to be in this sort of environment. So yeah, that's the problem, and that's why they got to close. And I wouldn't want to deal with it either, let alone deal with any other bullshit you got to deal with in San Francisco, just in general. From whether it's the streets to the policies and stuff standpoint of things.
In San Francisco is not dead, but it's in a process of evolution.
It will be a hard, long evolution.
It was really sad, and it has to do a lot of the Amazon stuff, and probably, people are stealing, and we quite see a lot of them.
The professor says downtown SF must evolve into a safe, clean, friendly, mixed-use, experiential destination with entertainment, pop-up shops, and ever-changing surprises, much like Tokyo, Paris, New York, and Denver, and many other cities as well.
Yeah, San Francisco won't do that for a very long time, if ever. San Francisco's trash. They're done. And it's just sad to see, how they just let this all slip away. they got to be going at least 50% vacancy rate in terms of businesses in the city. Got to be, because like it's a ghost town. Like in reality, just look at it. All the stores are closed, and the way you close up streets to where it's no longer car friendly. Like how can any business stay in business, right? They talked about Mission Street, right? Or not Mission Street, Valencia Street, which is in the Mission District, right? Valencia Street. They closed off all the parking areas, right? In order to make it more bike and pedestrian friendly. So it's like you got to park off on the side blocks instead of the main road there. And there's a lot of restaurant businesses along Valencia Street in the Mission District, right? And if you don't have any place for anybody to park, and you got to go down side streets to park, people are not going to want to do that. It's so inconvenient, right? And so guess what? Those restaurants closed too in the Mission District. It's sad, right? And they have a lot of restaurants there at one point. And they can't keep running a business if it's not accessible, you know what I'm saying? And so San Francisco's a mess. It sucks. It's terrible. And, you know, people are just moving out of there. Businesses, people in general. I do Spartan races. And Spartan races have not been in San Francisco for 2025 will now be, I think, 3 or 4 years now that they haven't been in San Francisco. They used to hold one event in San Francisco every December for years. And I used to always tend to that event because it's San Francisco. I mean, Spartan race, Spartan race. Let me show you a Spartan race real quick. I'm talking about this stuff, right? I like doing Spartan races. All right. This stuff, obstacle course, right? They would hold one at Oracle Park, San Francisco. Spartan race. And they haven't done one in San Francisco. Like I said, this year will probably be like year 4 maybe. 3 to 4 years, I would say. But yeah, it sucks. It's too bad. And it's just sad, like of what it used to be, San Francisco, to what it is now. It's just a utopia of nothingness. And these stupid liberal barriers, I call them liberal barriers that they put up on the street corners and stuff now too. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, right? And I don't know, there's just so much bullshit, and it just sucks. It's not even worth going to San Francisco. If anything, it's only worth going there if the job pays good, which San Francisco jobs, if you're able to get one, actually pays pretty high. But is it worth the commute? Is it worth the hassle? That's the trade-off, right? Because you can easily get 6-figure paying jobs, but the trade-off is you got to deal with the traffic, the parking, and things like that. It's just a mess. But anyhow, I just wanted to cover all these different store closures, especially the one they just recently announced, which was that Bloomingdale's closing its flagship store in San Francisco at that particular downtown mall. Even the mall owner said, we don't even want to own this anymore. We're out, and left it, right? And so it's like some sort of handler is handling the store right now, or I'm sorry, the mall right now, because the original owners said, we're out. We don't want to own this mall anymore. And they just say, well, we're out of here. And so that's pretty crazy how bad things are. But yeah, just wanted to talk about that. Let me know what you think. I know it's a long one, but hey, gotta love the stories to tell of what it was and the reality of now. So subscribe, hit the bell icon. I do double posting, so I'm on Rumble as well. Either way you can find me, I gladly appreciate it, as I do daily content on just anything and everything. All right, so if there's anything you want me to talk about, let me know. I could talk about it too. I don't care. All right, thanks. I'll see you in the next one.